I'd like to call to order the Dartmouth Board of Public Works meeting for November 20th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded. Roll call. Mr. Gagne,
Present.
the chair, Mr. Almy is present. We have a quorum. Our first order of business is to approve and accept warrants. Do I have a motion?
So
Mr.
moved.
Gagne?
So moved.
I will second to approve and accept warrants for bills payable period ending September 22nd, 29th, October 6th, 14th, 20th, and November 3rd, 10th, and 24th. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved.
Um,
Next item is to approve and accept payrolls for the weeks ending October 18th, 25th, and November 1st and 8th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion to approve. The chair seconds. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved. Next item on the agenda is to approve and accept meeting minutes. I'd like to defer this to our next meeting. Tim and Jen, I've got a few things I want to go over with you before and I don't want to spend everybody's time going over some of the small items that I've found. So if you don't mind, I'd like to either have a call and review the draft minutes prior to the board considering them.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Gagne, would you consider moving that item to our next meeting?
I would move that we take up the item with the approval of the minutes at our meeting in December.
Okay, the board seconds. Mr.
Yes.
Gagne?
Yes.
Board votes yes. So we'll defer the consideration of our meeting minutes until our next meeting. Next item on the agenda is old business. I'd like to, with Mr. Gagne's concurrence, I'd like to move item F to the top of this list and consider that first.
Sure.
Because we have some senior members of the town's administration with us, and I'd like to get to the item they want to discuss first.
Okay. Sounds
With that, we'll move to item F, discussion of the Water Enterprise Fund.
good. So moved.
All right. So we'll move that up. Cody or Tim, do you want to lead the discussion on that?
I'll start, and then Tim and Gary are both here. We had come before you at your previous meeting to make you aware of some concerns in the trends in the Water Enterprise Fund, particularly regarding the revenues and expenses. So, we did kind of put the board on notice that we were anticipating the need for a mid-year rate increase. The team has worked diligently over the last month to determine what level of a rate increase would be necessary. And so what I'd like to do is go over some of the figures that we've come up with, some projections for the remainder of the fiscal year, and then essentially present to you what we feel would be necessary for a rate increase. Now we're not going to have you vote that rate increase today. We'll have you do that at your next meeting, which we can talk about. But I'm going to share my screen if it lets me here. I'll send requests. So whoever is the admin, if you want to let me share my screen. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yeah, I think you got a double. There it is. I got
Yep.
Okay. So just high level, I'm going to walk you through what we have here. We have prior fiscal years, 24 and 25. We have fiscal 26 year to date, and then we have fiscal 26, projected for the remainder of the year. Obviously, the outlier is right here, New Bedford water purchases. We've to date, Q1 of fiscal 26 spent almost $1.8 million in water from the city of New Bedford. That is more than we spent in the past couple of years total. So, we can project that we're going to spend about another $600,000 more when we project out our monthly costs through the fiscal year. Now, we anticipate a couple of wells coming back online, hopefully at some point this winter. So hopefully that reduces the reliance, particularly as we get into more peak season, May and June. But again, we still anticipate, we've always purchased water from the city of New Bedford. So we anticipate still purchasing water from the city of New Bedford. We project our wages out, which is pretty much what we budgeted, right around $1 million for the Water Enterprise Fund. And then our other expenses, in addition to New Bedford Water, come in right around 1.5 million. So you take those two and you get that $3.9 million figure for total expenses. You add that with your wages, you get 4.9 million. The Water Enterprise Fund has about $1 million in debt service that we're paying annually. So you add that in, and then you have indirect and overhead costs, right, at a 1.263. So that brings your total expenditures to the 7.1. We have liabilities. So the DOR, when they certify our retained earnings, they consider some different liabilities. Outstanding receivables is one of them, and so we can estimate that at around 600,000. What the big thing here is, if things keep going how we anticipate, we're looking at we're going to be in the hole by almost $500,000. We project a deficit of around $473,000. So we need to make that up essentially between January and June. One of the challenges being your peak water season, right, is essentially the other half of the fiscal year. We use more water from July 1 through December 30th because you have those peak months of July, August. So we of 100% of water, and speaking with Tim, you really only use 40% in these 6 months. You use 60% in the other 6 months. So this is the estimated revenue from rates for the remaining 6 months of the fiscal year, January through June. And you take, it's a simple math equation, right? You take your margin here and you divide it by the remaining rates. Essentially, we're looking at an 18% increase would be necessary on January 1 to break even. And I say that because this is not building any reserves. This is essentially breaking even for this fiscal year. One of the other things I want to make you aware of is there is still a chance, even if the board did move forward with an 18% increase effective January 1, the way that our billing takes place, we would not necessarily capture 6 months of revenue at the increased rate because we have different sections billed at different times of the year. We certainly would capture that for the commercial, but we may not capture that for a lot of our residential, which presents a challenge in the existing fiscal year again. So Tim is looking at our options, and Gary's working with our consultant to see if we can change the billing cycles. We've talked about wanting to go to quarterly billing anyways, so that's certainly an option that we're exploring. And then I will let Tim touch on some of the other fees that he's looked at and some of the other changes that we may look to implement as part of this to try to really make this operation solvent. I mean, this is we cannot operate at a $500,000 loss in an enterprise fund. The reality is too, right? Even if we have to do a transfer at the end of the year, right now we only have approximately $140,000 in retained earnings in the Water Enterprise Fund, right? So if you're negative by 500,000, even if you pulled like we did this year, you are not going to have enough funds to cover the deficit. So this is really critical.
Mike, do you have any questions?
No, I had an opportunity to sit with Tim this week. He went over the situation. Um, I think the whole thing spins around the consumption, the significant consumption of water in this municipality. We're breaking all kinds of records, it seems, in the amount. And we're going to have to do what we have to do until we can get some wells back online and be able to produce some water from the aquifers, in Dartmouth. We have no choice.
Tim, do you have a sense of the timing of bringing some of the wells that are offline back into production?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, good. So we had prioritized, so we're currently working on the 579 Westport Road treatment facility upgrades, and we kind of prioritized that project to install the CT pipe loop, which is the 4-log, to be able to turn the Pinelli wells back on. So all the underground is currently installed, and they're working on installing the piping into the building and getting those connections made. So we're working steadfast to get those connections made, get that all tested, and then working on trying to get those back online towards the end of the year. So we're working with our consultant and working with the contractor out there on site.
So it
Other than
sounds
that,
like
yeah.
bringing those wells on, the timing will not affect our need to purchase water from New Bedford this fiscal year. Is that correct?
No, the end of the calendar year. So we're trying to get that done the end of the calendar year or just into the calendar year, so we can produce more water throughout the rest of the fiscal year.
All right.
The challenge, Rob.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to see what changes may occur. And anything else that you'd like to share with us, Tim?
So I also sat with the city of New Bedford this week and discussed possible rate reduction on what we're paying, because we're currently paying a bit more than their residents are paying, and they did say that they would be interested in discussing this further, and it would have to be approved by the water board. But they could not go lower than what their residents are paying, but they would be interested in discussing either a full rate or maybe a tiered rate moving forward. So I think we should move forward and present to their water board to request this.
Do we know how much their other municipal customers are paying?
We don't.
Can we find that out?
That's also a concern of theirs. They said if they lower our rate, then some of their other municipal customers will probably follow suit.
Okay. All right.
But we can work on that.
Yeah, and then on some related matters, these things don't affect the need to adjust rates, but I'd like to request, Tim, that you identify someone on your staff to identify the local companies that do irrigation system service. And I'd like to develop a relationship with that group for a couple of reasons. One is to encourage or require, if we don't already do it, a check on these systems to make sure that the sensors that can identify periods of rain essentially turn the systems off for a minimum of 2 days, perhaps more. And I'd also like to work with that group to provide to their customers some kind of a written card or something that can be placed on or next to the irrigation system controllers that remind them that it's illegal to irrigate lawns during certain periods of time. All right, we've got to do something so we don't run into the same problem next summer. So what I'm asking then is to set up a process where we reach the big residential water users, and at the same time put out the word to some of the other large irrigators, such as golf courses, and figure out a way to make sure that they are using water efficiently. And then I have a question. Gary and Cody, did you see the spreadsheet that Steve Sullivan put together on rates? He put together
The
some,
one, yeah, for the water, yes. For
for water.
the percentages and the comparisons.
Yep, we have seen that.
Okay. When you develop your recommendation to us, I want to consider a much higher rate for the upper block, recognizing that that is the high water users, recognizing that that's not going to make much difference until next summer. But I think as I looked at the tiers, I think there's room to encourage efficient water use through fiscal means, and also make that part of a public outreach as we get into the summer. That's been effective in other areas. All right, so that's basically my input. Mike, do you have anything else?
Oh, I think you made it very clear that the consumption of water needs to be looked at along with the issue of certainly what fiscally will sustain the water enterprise fund. But I think you make a very good point there.
Okay.
And
Anything
if I
else?
may,
Yeah.
yes. So I think, also looking at, our staff, keeping an eye out on these on non-essential water use through May through September, and enforce the bans moving forward. And we're also working on some public notification as well, additional public notification. And then, in speaking with Cody and Gary, we're looking at the possibility of moving to quarterly billing sooner than later. If we could do that at the start of the calendar year rather than the fiscal year, I think it'll be beneficial for us, the Water Enterprise Fund, and the consumers, where the rate is being increased. So having more billing cycles will, I think, reduce that effect or that impact on them, and then allow us to regulate the revenue coming in as well.
All right. I have one other question. I'm not big on deferring fiscal pain, but is it possible to negotiate the timing of our payments to New Bedford so that they show up in our next fiscal year?
Well, we're not really allowed to do that, Rob. DOR kind of as a requirement, we have to pay current year bills with the current year's budget.
Got
That's
it.
why every once in a while you'll see a prior year bill go to town meeting, because we're required to pay, current expenses with the current year's budget.
Okay. That's an easy answer. Thank you. All right. Anything else on this item?
The only thing I would ask, since we have Gary on, is could you send over to Tim a printout from the collector's office on any water and sewer billings that are 90 days in arrears? A list of them and the
Yeah.
amounts.
You were working on that. You had asked that at the last board meeting, so
Yeah.
we're actually ready to lean those to the real estate tax. So once that, probably in a week or so,
Good.
I can forward that to Tim.
Thank you.
Is that going to be
Thank you.
with a turkey
And stuffing.
and stuff? Yeah, the stuffing I see in the envelopes. Okay, I got it. All right. This is a pretty serious matter, so I'm sure that if the professional team has a painful recommendation, we will do our best to implement it. Nobody likes to see an increase in water rates, but I got to say this. Part of this is due to people not being careful last summer. And there was enough in the newspaper about droughts, and we did noticing. So, unfortunately, some of the big users may have brought this on the rest of us, and we'll just have to deal with it as best we can. All right. Okay. Anything else on this item?
No.
All right. That's
We
item.
actually started the year in a drought last year.
Yeah, I know.
Typically,
And
we
then
end the year in a drought. We started the year.
yeah. So, but this is likely to happen again. So,
Absolutely.
we're going to have a broader set of issues that we work with, I think, in the next 12 months, including looking at augmenting our existing supplies and seeing if that helps us with the financial end. Okay, if we're done with that item, we will go back. Gary, Cody, is there anything else that you guys need to present to us?
No, thanks for moving this up. We
All righty.
appreciate it. And if any of you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We recognize 18% is significant, particularly in, a mid-year rate increase. But we've been diligently working on this, and I think, we made really a promise to the community that we would not allow a deficit to occur again. And unfortunately, this is what we're looking at. So, but if there's questions prior to the next meeting, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll sit down and go over them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think if Mike made a good request, Tim, if you could forward that to us when we get it. And then I think at the next meeting, Tim, if you can put some meat on the bones of an aggressive water conservation program for starting in the spring. I think that's going to be part of the message to the citizens that we can do our part, but you've got to do your part. And we're
Correct.
basically all in this together.
Yes.
So, all right,
All
I
right,
will.
guys.
Okay,
Thank you, Cody and Gary, for your work on this.
thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Take care.
All right, moving up, old business A, comprehensive wastewater management plan. Tim, give us an update.
So the CWMP request for qualifications is ready to advertise. I had kind of changed direction, and we were looking at possibly advertising a request for proposals to try to be more efficient. But we looked at, I think it's kind of split on different communities requesting RFQs or RFPs. So we decided that that's going to delay this going out a little to really compose that RFP. So to eliminate any other further delays, we're looking at just putting out, tidying up the RFQ and advertising it. We're working on the advertisement dates, and looks like we can make the December 3rd advertisement date, and with a deadline submittal around like January 13th.
All
I
right.
think going the RFQ route is a smarter way because then you're going to be able to weed out firms that can take on a project of this caliber.
Correct.
All right. So you'll let us know when you're going to release the RFQ.
Yes. Yep.
All right.
I will keep you updated.
Okay. And then if you're going to post that on the website, could you
Mhm.
also let us know where we
Yeah.
can find it when it's ready? Okay. Thank
Sure.
you. All right.
Yep. You're
Next
welcome.
item. Anything else on that, Tim? Mike,
Nope,
any
not for now.
questions?
No,
Okay.
no.
Next item is the operational study update.
So at the last meeting, I brought a proposal from a consultant based on the draft scope of the operational study developed by the town administrator and the board of select people. At that meeting, it was stated that we would want to possibly work on the draft scope a little further and revise it for our needs and the town's needs, and then prior to sending it back out for another proposal. Does anyone have any comments on the draft scope at this time?
So one of the things, Tim, I looked over the the stuff that was provided by Cody and the select board's comments, and they make some very good points in there. It's very comprehensive, the breadth of subject that they cover. But I'm wondering if it wouldn't make sense if we did, as we just did with the CWMP, to look to put out for a request for qualifications. And the reason I bring that up is the more I looked at their things, the more I felt it was important that we get a firm that has experience with the characteristics that Dartmouth has. I mean, we're one of the very largest municipalities as far as land mass, so we have road length issues. The utility services that we, put out are significant in length and complexity. We produce our own, municipal water, majority of it. We run our own curbside trash and recycling pickup. We're a university town. My biggest concern is getting a firm that can handle the characteristics of Dartmouth and adequately would address, whatever the prioritized, items are that we came up with and what the select board came up with. But I think it really, we got to get the right firm, and that's why I'm sort of leaning in the direction of getting an RFQ out and then sitting down and see if they're capable of producing an end product. You're going to spend a lot of money between what you're putting in and what the general fund is putting in.
Yes. Yeah, and you bring that up, and also looking at the towns going through a compensation and reclassification study currently, right? And they're working on job descriptions and comparisons with other comparable municipalities, and they're having a difficult time finding the communities that are comparable with us due to everything that we do offer.
Yeah.
So it's unique, and we do offer a lot, and we do a lot here in town, in-house,
Do a substantial amount, and I want some firm that has done a community similar to Dartmouth, and so that we have some defensible, because you make a very good point. If they are not able to get together, something to give us, some comparison issues, it's really not of value.
Okay, so Tim, can you work with Cody and come back to us and let us know how you guys decide to proceed?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with Mike, but my concern is that we've been trying to get this thing off the ground for a year and a half. And in many ways, it's become more the town administrator's study than ours. And so I'd like to encourage some meeting of the minds so that this thing can start moving forward, however it moves forward. And Tim, depending on the discussion, please feel free to reach out to Mike and make sure that he's comfortable whichever way you and the town administrator recommend. Okay, because there's real value in doing an RFQ to make sure that whoever is going to give us a proposal and spend their time and our time on a proposal is qualified. So, I mean, I
Yes,
definitely
absolutely.
see
I
that.
agree.
All
I'd,
right.
I'd like to sit in on that meeting. I think, the three of us sitting down, we can put together, I think, the scope of an RFQ that would address the concerns I raised.
Okay.
Will do. That sounds good.
All right. If there are no other questions or comments on item B, we'll go to item C, which is storm debris management.
So there are no current updates for storm debris management. I'm still working on getting a meeting with EMA director and see if they have any comments or recommendations, and then we'll continue with the district on this plan.
Okay. Yeah, as long as we're making progress on it. I think we've got a little bit of time before the next hurricane season, but we're due.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
all right.
I'd like to get a draft over the winter and get it to the board for review. So,
All right. Yeah, I think that would be good. I mean, I
Yep.
realize you've got a lot going on, but I also encourage you to take advantage of some of the talented people you got on your team, even if it may not be
absolutely.
something they've worked on before. Stretch them a little bit.
We do.
All right. Next item is 33 Sagamore Drive, ADU.
All right. So at last meeting, Mr. Andrade had requested waiver of sewer connection fees for the connection of an ADU that he is permitted currently to construct at 33 Sagamore Drive. At the time of the meeting, I had a request for town council to review our 2006 ADU sewer connection policy. And town council has responded with the opinion that our policy and fees meet 760 CMR 71.033, since our fees serve a legitimate municipal interest by offsetting impacts from additional system use, and it does not impose excessive costs or otherwise prevent the development of ADUs. And in fact, the cost is discounted in comparison with connection fees for single family homes.
Mike, do you have any questions?
I don't. I looked at the documents that were sent with our agenda, and that ADU has a bedroom, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a living room. I think it's, our policy of 2006, addresses that as a single unit, and I believe that the fees that have been assessed should remain.
All right. Tim, do you have any other information or background on this? In other words, let me be more specific. Do we anticipate seeing more ADUs?
Absolutely. The state had put out the 760 CMR regulation and basically, changing municipal permitting on ADUs, which allowing more ADUs and dwelling units to be built in municipalities with less restriction. So since then, we have seen an uptick in permit applications for ADUs, and I believe we'll continue to see permit applications for ADUs.
And how do you expect to handle connection fees?
The same way. So with the 2006 policy, we would implement the sewer connection fees. Currently, the 2006 policy also was approved that any water connections that are made after the meter in the dwelling unit, that the existing dwelling unit does not pay additional connection fees unless they have to connect before the meter. So any ADUs that have to connect to water before the meter will have to pay a new service connection fee, and they'll be issued a new account number for water as well. So.
I see our applicant is with us. Do you have any comments, sir?
Good morning. No, I guess I do not.
Okay. So we have a request for a fee waiver. Mr. Gagne, do you have any, do you wish to make a motion?
I do not.
All right. Tim, in absence of action by the board, what is the practical effect on the request for a fee waiver?
What is
In other words,
of
so do we have to take a motion to approve or deny, or will no
Yes.
action by the board at this meeting constitute a denial of the request?
I'll make
No,
I'll simplify the matter. At this time, I would make the motion that the request be denied.
Mr. Gagne moves denial of the request for a fee waiver. The chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote to deny.
The chair votes to deny. The action is taken. So to be clear, there's the water connection has not required a fee, and the sewer connection fee is discounted compared to a complete new dwelling. Is that right, Tim?
yes,
Yeah.
about
Okay.
50%. Yep.
All right. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Mr. Andrade.
Yep.
I don't. The only consolation I can give you is we treat everybody the same, if you will. Anyway, good luck with the construction. I had older parents, and however you choose to use your ADU, I hope it's useful.
Thank you for your attention.
We appreciate you bringing this to us, and good luck with your project.
Yep. Thanks again.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item E, water pollution control composting.
All right. So previously, I had updated the board that our current contractor agreement to haul and market our biosolids compost is ending our contract, terminating our contract in October 2026, and they will no longer be in the market of in the business of biosolids composting. They have a facility up in Maine that they will be closing down. In turn, they have submitted a scope and a price estimate to haul our biosolids, continue to haul it but not market it, and at a cost of about $1.3 million per year. So after that meeting, Dennis and I met with our consultant, Stantec, to look at other options. And mostly all the options are expensive, extremely expensive, including pyrolysis, gasification, incineration, or supercritical water oxidation. All these require specialized equipment. Although the footprint of many of these, much of this equipment isn't too large to be designed for a site. It's just an expensive process. So in the meantime, we'll be working on reaching out to other companies that can use or market our compost to maintain our composting operations, which keeps the residents' brush, moving, an opportunity for the residents to dispose of the brush and leaves, and our composting operations with the biosolids at this time. I will say that Dennis has been working with our staff and company. We had our agitators both went down this week, so they've been working hard. So that's going to be quite a bill, as did our grinder. So that's probably going to be a $10,000 repair bill as well. So that's all to do with our biosolids and our compost. So it's all expensive equipment, and hopefully we can find a program or an outlet that's less costly. If not, we'll be looking at rates to increase that budget line item next year.
Tim, what do our neighbors do with their biosolids?
So currently, I think New Bedford hauls liquid to Rhode Island, to an incineration plant in Rhode Island. So that's one of the options, incineration, and it's same thing. You're paying for the hauling and the incineration, so it's expensive.
Is there any need or any utility in discussing with some of our neighbors a regional solution to everybody's biosolid problem?
I think that's always a good discussion to regionalize a facility that could handle all of our biosolids, because it's getting more expensive, and they're getting fewer and fewer facilities that handle it.
Yeah.
A lot of the facilities are actually, some of them are trial facilities, and a lot of them are out west. So trying to get anything local is difficult because there aren't too many. So, and they're expensive. And
you listed a number of options for handling the biosolids, and it seems that some kind of a discussion with some of our neighbors about whether any of those options are worth discussing at a regional level. We've got a regional landfill. I realize it's got a limited life, but some of the long-term planning for solid waste and biosolids would make sense. I imagine that technology has moved forward since the last time I worried about this stuff. So
I think the issue, though, is that in 1995, when we did the plant upgrade, the composting operation was an integral part of that improvement. And I know from knowledge that, in fact, these materials that Casella has been taking have been used in applications for development of landscaping and final construction landscaping. I think the composting is the way to continue. I think I had a chance to sit down with Tim to talk about, some opportunities, and I think we keep this on the agenda, but I really would like them to work hard towards the direction of, continuing the compost operation. I can tell you, having worked in New Bedford, for 3 years and seeing the budget for biosolid disposal, you will cringe when you see what in fact that costs. And those plants are very difficult to permit. And it was one of the items that ended up getting scuttled off of the parallel products proposal, and I think for very good reason. So I think we ought to be talking in the realm of what can we do with the end material? What are the markets? What are the opportunities? And continue, if improvements are needed in our composting operation, look at that.
Thank you, Mike.
One of the things I recall seeing on the West Coast was use of these materials in agricultural operations, particularly orchards. And they, of course, because of the scale of agricultural operations, were able to find a market more easily.
Yeah.
But so I understand the way things were in a different place 20 years ago. But I appreciate the challenge. All right. So
Yes.
You'll report back with us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That concludes old business. New business. First item is engineering services asset management program. Tim, you want to?
Yes. So we have, we were awarded a grant through the state for asset management of sewer and stormwater with a project total of $250,000. But it required a match. So the grant award wasn't $250,000. It's actually $150,000 with a $100,000 match. So we worked with Ty and Bond, and we are planning a $40,000 in-kind match of in-kind services to DPW, working with Ty and Bond, and then a $60,000 fund from the Sewer Enterprise Fund towards actually split between the Sewer Enterprise Fund and the general fund for the sewer and the stormwater asset management. And so this fund is this portion of the match is funded through an article that was awarded at town meeting in the fall.
Okay. Mr. Gagne, any questions?
Tim, I read through the materials in the packet. I was quite surprised to see the number of culverts that they had identified, that were going to be evaluated. I think one of the important things is, and maybe I missed it in the contract, but I think each of the culverts, as they are identified and located and are available on your GPS system, is that at the same time, they should be looking at that culvert and they should be grading it on a scale maybe from 1 to 5, 1 to 10, so that you're able to incorporate into your capital plan, some cost estimates for those that are found that are going to need to be replaced. Because, sooner or later, somewheres over time, you're going to have to replace them, and some are more urgent than others. And I think for us to be able to get a condition rated will help you in that regard.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
That's an excellent suggestion. Anything else, Mr. Gagne?
No.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
And like I said, we will have staff working with them as well in the location of the culverts, and we'll work with them too to look at the condition as well.
I got a couple of questions. As I read through the RFP, I was curious to know the relationship with the Buzzards Bay Coalition Buttonwood Creek Watershed Management Plan. I didn't see any mention of that. That seems to have done a fair amount of work, inventorying condition and location. So is that taken into account in this in the scope of work?
Yeah, so there's a lot of connection there. So Ty and Bond has worked on our MS4 for quite a while and developed, a lot of our stormwater assets and infrastructure, and also they've also worked with Buzzards Bay Coalition on the Buttonwood Brook program as well. So I think they have a lot of that information that they'll be able to use for this as well.
And I noticed there was a discussion of an advisory group. So I would imagine the Buzzards Bay Coalition would be part of that.
They could be, definitely.
Okay. All right. So this item is for approval. Do I have a motion?
I would make the motion that we approve the awarding of a contract to Ty and Bond for the amount of the grant and for the contribution from our enterprise fund.
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Gagne to approve the Ty and Bond contract and as presented, and the participation of the Public Works Department and the town. The chair will second the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved. Next item is new business B, Engineering Services Water Division SCADA system.
Yes, so this agreement is with Woodard and Curran to continue upgrades on our SCADA systems for our water division. The original agreement was much higher, but we reduced this to stay within a budget due to our current budget concerns. So this contract is for $25,000, and it's currently funded through the operational budget for SCADA work.
Mr. Gagne, do you have any questions?
I don't.
So Tim, this is for further development of the SCADA system, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the reason I ask is that I noticed that the one feature of the interaction between the consultant and the town is it's limited to normal business hours. And so that implies to me that there's nothing provided in case in the middle of the night somebody needs to get a hold of the consultant for an operational reason. Is that correct? That's an explicit exclusion in the contract. That's done on purpose.
Right.
Okay.
That's, I think it's, in their contract. Is Tony still on here? Tony.
Yes.
Can you comment on working with Woodard and Curran in their contract? It states that it's for normal interaction with the town during normal business hours. Is that for our normal business hours, or is that from Woodard and Curran, or do we have communication with them off hours in situations where we need them if we have problems with SCADA?
Yeah, that's during any hours, including off hours.
Is it?
Yes.
All right. Okay, with that,
I can clarify that. Yeah.
do I have a motion for approval?
I would make the motion that we approve the contract with Woodard and Curran in the amount of $25,000.
Mr. Gagne moves approval. Chair seconds. All in favor, Mr. Gagne?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, item is approved. Next item is Hawthorne Street Improvements Design Amendment.
Okay, so this amendment is to the existing contract for design of the improvements of Hawthorne Street from Slocum Road to the current the town/New Bedford city line. The amendment includes additional scope to survey and submit the project through Mass DOT's intersection control evaluation for the intersection of Hawthorne Street and Slocum Road, as we're looking at, possible signalization. We did completed a signal warrant analysis with Serped at this intersection, and there is some concern with traffic in the intersection, especially with a middle school at the corner, and we don't currently have crossing guards in town, so there have been accidents at that intersection, as it's a heavy traffic area along Slocum Road, and in the intersection control will allow also controlled crosswalks at that location if we do install signals. So Mass DOT is interested in us going through the intersection control or the ICE part of their review. So this a large part of this is amendment is to deal with that and the submittal through Mass DOT, but it also includes environmental resource delineation, the subsurface utility engineering. So this has to go through Mass DOT's subsurface utility engineering and utility coordination with MassDOT's District of Utilities Constructability Engineer, the DUCE. Also includes a hybrid alternative plan for Mass DOT based on their comments at our last meeting, and based on the review of the plan, and also the 25% design submittal and comment resolution through Mass DOT. And since then, I've also met with the city of New Bedford to discuss possible work beyond the city line to provide connectivity with our upgrades and our improvements. So it doesn't just stop at the city line, it continues into the intersection of Brownell, and possible connectivity with the Buttonwood Park shade use path. So we're in discussions with that. I sent them the plans, and we're looking at other costs to survey that. And while we're looking at those costs, Mass DOT is also looking at a way to combine both municipalities into a project, or whether they have to keep them separate. So we'll know more as we move forward with Mass DOT and the city on that as well. So this amendment is for $135,000.
Any further questions?
Yes. I did have a chance to talk with Tim about this particular project. If you drive down Hawthorne Street, I think you will all be amazed at how wide the street is and how much impervious cover is in that street. That street was originally built, I believe, in 1953. There must have been some particular reason why they made it so wide. It's actually wider than Brownell Avenue and the section that goes from the New Bedford-Dartmouth line down to Rockdale Avenue. The big concern I have is that one branch of the Buttonwood Brook between the Quinn School and the synagogue there is the principal stormwater draining for the majority of that Hawthorne Street. And this is our opportunity to get that issue addressed with some measures that will clean up the stormwater before it ultimately, enters the brook. The city of New Bedford has been working very closely with the coalition. If you see what the improvements are that they're doing at the Buttonwood Park, right at the intersection with 140, those are coordinated with the coalition. The coalition is working with the Zoological Society on improvements of the Buttonwood Brook as it goes through the zoo proper. I think it would be imperative upon us to look at what we can do to clean up another branch of the brook. There are 4 branches to that brook. People never realize it, but now's the time. And I would ask that it be specifically identified in this amendment that this engineering firm would meet with the coalition to hear what some of their ideas and suggestions are, so that when we do get to the 25% design, we don't suddenly say, oh, we should be doing, some stormwater management issues. So I would be in favor of approving the contract, but I would like to see an amendment that it says that they will meet with the coalition and they will be cognizant of integrating stormwater management improvements into this project.
Yeah,
Jim,
we can
is
definitely
that-
set up a meeting.
Yeah, and I agree with all the time and effort that's been put into the Buttonwood Brook watershed plan and ideas for improving water quality and hydrologic conditions in the brook. The town can really add to that process with how it handles this particular project. So I agree with Mr. Gagne very strongly.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, so we haven't. There is a stormwater component to this contract, and so the design improvements of Hawthorne Street. We haven't gotten to that point yet, as we're still at the pre-25. But I will work with TEC to definitely work on treatment options, as well as meeting with the coalition to discuss their recommendations as well.
All right. Mr. Gagne, anything else?
I do not. I will make the motion that we approve the sum of $135,000 to TEC for the Hawthorne Street Improvement Design Amendment, I should say.
Mr. Gagne moves approval. Chair seconds. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved. Next is on-call industrial commercial wastewater consulting services. Tim?
So, in working with our consultant Stantec, and I know we brought on-call services from them forward to the board for sewer and water. This agreement is for on-call services to work with Stantec on their industrial and commercial wastewater discharge side. So we work closely with them for any industrial and commercial wastewater discharges on samplings and recommendations for any treatment prior to discharging. And it seems like there's been an uptick in projects lately. And in the past, a lot we've had commercial and industrial discharge applicants actually contract with the consultant rather than us contracting with the consultant. But we feel it'd be more efficient if we contract with we'll contract with the consultant and issue the cost to the applicant through our 53G account, and then we can fund that contract through that account and work with both the applicants and the consultant, rather than having the consultant work directly with the applicants. And I think it'll be more efficient and move a lot of these projects forward. This is a typical estimate for starting a review of an industrial commercial wastewater applicant is about $5,000. So that's what this agreement would be for.
Any questions, Mr. Gagne?
I don't have any questions.
All right. I have none. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion would be to approve the authorization of $5,000 for on-call industrial commercial wastewater consulting services with Stantec.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Gagne. The chair seconds. the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved. Next item E, an update on the DEP recycling dividend grant.
Yes, so we were recently awarded an RDP, or Recycling Dividend Grant Award, for $32,400 in working with the district, and all of the recycling opportunities that we provide to our residents is what has given us this amount for the award. And this funding is to be used for recycling programs. So it's to put back into our recycling program and to better it. So it's great that we received this funding to use on our programs. Through this, we've also, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to move on to the next award. Can I make a comment on this one before you move to that one?
Yeah.
I think that, you know, I'll make a good point, and I'm glad you mentioned it, Tim, is that the town of Dartmouth at their transfer station recycles an awful lot of materials well beyond what I have seen at some other locations. And I give you folks credit for things such as tires and shrink wrap and, you know, all of that stuff you do. They do a good job. Secondly, I would just comment that the addition of a additional worker to be out on Saturdays has worked very well. The individuals are very helpful. They're very good at directing people to put things in their proper location, and I'm very pleased with the outcome. And I want to thank the town, and especially Paul Pacheco, for putting that in place. One thing I would ask is that if you could use some of this grant award to make the improvements to the lithium battery recycling station with segregation of types of batteries in there, and some general upkeeping so that the door opens a little easier for people, and some proper signage. It says car batteries on it, but it's used for all different types of batteries. And I think if we could use some of that grant to bring that into the more current age, that would be very helpful.
And that you bring that up, Mike. So we are working to update that disposal container, and there was also a grant that we're possibly looking at for a new container for batteries as well in the future, but that's probably about a year out. So we'll work on that, updating that container, and including signage too, to help residents dispose properly.
I think if we could get the signage in there right away, that would be a big help. My only suggestion is make sure that you make the container something that's non-flammable, because as we all know, there's some serious concerns about lithium-ion batteries.
Correct. Yep. And proper disposal of the batteries and taping the contacts, I think, is one of them.
Good.
To have safety, safe disposal and prevent fires.
Good.
Tim, I'll echo Mike's comments about the transfer station. It turns out I've been there both on a busy Saturday where I actually saw Mike, although we didn't discuss any business. So it was a
chance meeting,
unplanned chance meeting. And I also been there during the week and helping a family member with a trailer full of household waste of various kinds. And your staff was extremely helpful, both at the station and on the floor, if you will, helping us identify the right container to move an awkward vehicle around. So that worked out very well. So, and
Excellent.
neither Mike nor I identified ourselves, and I don't think they recognized us. So it was, we got an honest experience, and again, it was very positive. So, all right.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for the
Yeah,
good news.
please let the staff know
Appreciation.
that people really do notice. And it makes a huge difference for public facing service. So, all
Mr.
right.
Chairman,
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
I agree.
Mr. Chairman, Derek Martin, thank you so much for that, coming back. I think one thing is, like I've said it before, and I use it all the time, a team takes on the identity of its coach, in getting them to really, work hard for themselves and do a better job. Something that we've been speaking about is leadership and teamwork and all those stuff. So it's starting to get really catchy down here, and they're starting to get on board. We are here to be there for our residents and the public. And I agree with Mr. Gagne with the uh, two guys up there because it's such a big facility. I've been really pushing for a golf cart up to the top so that guys can get from one side to the other a lot quicker. And if you just have a bag or something and we have a little platform on the metal, now we eliminate a resident having to get into those tight quarters and they can just exit. So we've got a couple more upgrades because, we feel that those containers with the flip pieces of metal on the end. So we want to try to eliminate that for safety as well. And we're going to put some small, maybe fences across the bottom, which maybe will allow residents to come up to the bins, in the garbage area, but not completely get to them. So when they throw it in, the guys have been doing an extremely good job of cleaning up after themselves, and it gets catchy. So thank you, because the getting the appreciation and the notice. And that's what I tried to tell them. But we tried to go after a small grant and we're still looking for it because I want to make sure that the guys are noticeable. Sometimes they're up there and we're not sure with the new guy, especially with the extra guy, who is our employee and, who's a resident. So it's something that I want to do so that the residents can turn and maybe see, when we in the winter we all have our high vis jackets and who it is, but in the summertime I'm trying to get maybe some t-shirts or something with our logo on it so you can actually identify the worker, and that'll help and make smoothly. So thank you so much for for the pat on the back.
You guys earned it. So,
and we have seen on occasion both people and vehicles end up in the containers. So I think some fencing is a good idea.
Great, Tim. Thank you.
all right. Tim, you were in the middle. You had a couple more things on the grant.
Yeah. So the next, we also had applied with through the district for a grant award for food waste drop-off equipment, and we were awarded additional $3,000. And this would also be applied towards, for the work that goes towards the food waste drop-off. And then lastly, we had also applied for an SMRP grant for cardboard recycling drop-off equipment. So this is a higher cost equipment where we're looking to upgrade our cardboard compactor and provide and transfer our existing compactor to the Potter School to provide them with a cardboard compactor. The cost of this is over $32,000. So we were looking at hoping for the grant to award at least a portion of that purchase, and then the rest would be through RDP funds. So we were denied that grant this round. So I think we'll continue pursuing that and look at, hopefully we can split the cost with a grant in our RDP funds.
All right. Now, if I understand correctly, Tim, cardboard is very valuable as a recyclable material. So how if you had this equipment upgrade, would you be able to capture a larger percentage of recyclable cardboard, do you think?
No, we have our two containers. We have our large open container, and then we have a cardboard compactor for the smaller cardboard. It's just I think the biggest problem is some of the schools don't have cardboard compactors, and a lot of the cardboard ends up in the trash. So it would give them an opportunity to recycle more and keep a lot of that out of the waste stream and ending up at Crapo Hill.
Yeah, if you could, do you have a number, an estimate that how much would be diverted from the schools if you were able to follow through with everything you want to do?
I'm not sure what they use it. How much cardboard they send out. I know mostly, I think at the beginning of the school season, when everything's coming in boxed and then all their shipping, but I'm not sure of an actual tonnage of cardboard from the schools.
If you had a number that might help your grant application.
I might be able to look at some of the other schools, what they handle, for cardboard, and see if we can estimate from there.
Yeah, that gives the state something to actually use as a basis for the award. So even though it's not the primary purpose, because of what it allows the town to do. Okay, Mike, do you have any other questions?
I do not.
Okay. All right. So this is an update, so we can move to the MEGA Safety Grant Award.
Yes. So we had also applied for a Mega Safety Grant Award through the state, and we were awarded $5,000 towards safety equipment. So this round of this award is being used to cover the cost of the purchase of 2 personnel safety hatches, which will be installed on 2 of our sewer pump stations.
Okay. Mike, any questions?
No.
I have no questions. So the next item is discussion of Public Works call service.
Yes, I had asked Tim to put this on the agenda. I had been looking at the city of New Bedford's 311 system, whereby folks can call in, different issues relative to defects in the road or public works related issues and concerns. And I really think, and I had a good conversation with Tim, and he's going to have some conversation with Cody about a system whereby a call or an email somehow gets documented as having been made by a concerned citizen on a matter. But I think what's important is also that the system have some robustness to it, whereby when the town or employee or department head responds back, that it's documented into a system. I think this would be very helpful both for the citizen and for the department head, and also would be able to give us some kind of printout on the nature of frequency and type of calls for service that are received. I look at, how busy the department heads are in the highway division and water and sewer and solid waste. And, I can understand sometimes maybe it's difficult for them to take a call or get a call back. And I think if we had a system in place, that would be helpful. I've heard very good things about the 311 system in New Bedford, and I think we ought to do a little deeper exploration about the possibility of implementing it in our Public Works Department.
Okay, I think that sounds like a good idea for a number of reasons. It also gives us another way to reach out to the public, so they're aware of first of all, that the town has a very broad scope of services that are provided, but secondly, we care. And the we care, we want to hear from you part is really important. By the
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
and I got a call from a resident about the speed signs on Elm Street, the 30-mile-an-hour signs, and it was very positive feedback. So, you know, two signs, very simple, Tim. And even though they're yellow signs, it makes a difference. And I don't know whether it's me or whether it's real, but I get the sense that people have slowed down a little on Elm Street, which was the whole point of the signs. So anyway, I just thought I'd
Thank you, Rob.
place to mention that.
Even though they're yellow, they give the same message. So
Yeah, and that's the issue, the point. Okay.
That 311 system is an app base. If you go onto the City of New Bedford's home site, you can download the app. It comes up on your phone, which is great because if you're out and you see something, you can just click the app and you can send the information on to the Public Works Department.
and it's part of the OpenGov software. So we currently use OpenGov software. So you know, most of the software seems to work pretty well. I know the town had done a portal which was on the website for residents to reach out and contact about any issues, and also for the town to share any projects on. And it wasn't app based, and it didn't get much, if any, use. So they actually ended that program recently. But I think an app based program could work a lot better because people want that application at their fingertips, so they can when they see something they want to voice it at that point rather than wait to get home and log into a computer. So
Right. Like the saying goes, I have an app for that.
Yeah,
there's an
right.
app for that. Absolutely.
Well, and then there are those of us who are old enough that we try very hard not to put new apps on our phones. So, and some of
I know a
us,
few people like that.
yeah, well, some of us have always avoided social media, and I don't feel any the worse for avoiding social media. I'll say that in public.
Right.
And if you want to get a hold of
and then
call me.
right. And I think, a lot of people use social media to, post complaints about different things in town, and every town,
Yeah.
if they have an outlet to, and sometimes they're just asking, who do you complain to about this? So if somebody says, well, there's an app for that,
Well, and a number, 311.
and a number. Absolutely.
Pretty simple. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Mike. And so I encourage Tim, you to see if that can actually happen, even if I don't have the app.
We'll put it back under old business. Keep it under old business so we can regularly visit.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Committee updates. Mike, do you have anything?
I don't look forward to meeting with Tim and Cody and talking about the scope for the RFQ relative to the operational study.
All right. Capital projects met last week. We discussed next steps. And we're basically looking for more detail on some of the very large projects. I'm not sure how well all committee members understood the Public Works water supply projects, but we had a good discussion on that. And I think they came away with a better feeling. That's all I have. Next item is director updates. Tim?
All right, so just an update on a few projects. The Ellswick and Route 6 pump station upgrade rebid is currently being scheduled for advertisement on November 26th, with the opening of electric filed sub bids on December 18th and general bids on January 15th. Our consultant Stantec is working on that advertisement, and we will assist in any way we can to get that bid moving. Also, that project is to provide capacity for the Preserve 40B project, which is currently advancing. They've installed the first phase of sewer infrastructure and water infrastructure. Although they are, they're pressuring to get water and sewer connection permits for multiple buildings. The sewer is not completely tested, and the water pressure testing has not passed yet to date. So we're holding, we typically hold off any permits to connect until all the infrastructure is tested and has passed. They were under their extension permit. I had approved them for a single building connection with their clubhouse. But we looked at the numbers, the estimates in the pump station numbers, in the calculations, and we will allow them to connect 4 buildings so they can get their vertical construction underway, as they can't just get the bank to approve for one building when they have a number of buildings to be built, I think 16. So they were looking for 4 buildings, and working with a consultant, we could allow the 4 buildings to be connected prior to the upgrade. And that's mostly because the Lincoln Park development has not been completed, and they still have their last phase of mixed use and commercial build out hasn't been completed. It hasn't even been submitted for review or permitting. So that flow hasn't been introduced to the system. So I think so we can allow that flow by the Preserve, since they're ready to go. Next, any questions
Tim?
on that, on either of those?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, but I'm a bit concerned at how much the initial bid was overrun by the estimate for that Ellswick Street lift station. I sort of want to wait and see what those bids come in on the rebid, but I think if they come in and they're still over what the original amount was, and we're going to need to have some discussion about who is going to be paying for that additional amount.
Yep.
Yeah, and
so what we
ahead, Tim.
planned for the rebid is using a deductible alternate for to put the most crucial pump station up front, and the less critical station under the deductible alternate, so we can at least move forward on one of the stations as soon as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I have no comments. Next item, Tim.
Just an update on the next residences at Hawthorne 40B discussion. Their initial stormwater review has been conducted by the peer review consultant and submitted. It was pretty thorough, and although all of the design information wasn't submitted by the developers and their consultant, the peer review took that into consideration and commented on that, and they were pretty thorough in their review. I had done a site walk with the peer review consultant as well, and looked at the site and compared to the design plans. And the peer review consultant, our other peer review consultant for sewer and water, is also currently working on their review, although there's a substantial amount of information and design data that's missing from their submittal. They've also taken that into consideration based on their review.
At what point, Tim, does the missing information get into the review and affect the discussion over approval?
I think it's kind of ongoing. So as they don't really have a deadline to get information in, because they've pretty much said this is all we're required to submit by the state at this point to have a full submittal. So they submitted, like a 25%, complete package. So as they submit more, we'll complete more review to see, what we have. But I think the, basically the estimated flows, the flows can be estimated on the proposed numbers of dwellings, but that has changed from their existing proposal. It has been reduced due to the design of the site and the restrictions based on grading and setbacks and whatnot. So, some of their other design, I think, through the comments from our consultant and us, based on location of some of their facilities, might even further reduce the number of housing units. So we'll wait to see on their response to these comments.
And how does that affect the hearing schedule before the zoning board?
The hearings have been scheduled. So, based on their submittal of responses and as long as our peer review consultants are meeting their deadlines, I think they'll keep the meetings on schedule.
So
I don't think it won't affect the meetings, because the meetings will continue to be scheduled and held, regardless of the lack of information, from the developers.
but is it possible, or can it happen that the zoning board decides to take action and the information provided for these services is incomplete, and therefore
Yeah, they just have to
review?
be careful. They just have to be careful on their action, because anything that's appealed to the state usually gets awarded in favor of a developer. So
Yeah, I get that, but I am uncomfortable that there are changes to the project being made, and the review is based on incomplete information, our review, and that I don't like not knowing whether the zoning board could take action on an incomplete, what we assert is incomplete information.
no, I don't believe they would.
All right. So you'll keep us apprised, and if there's any chance that the zoning board is going to consider an approval action on what the Public Works Department believes is incomplete information, would you let us know
Yep.
as soon as you find out? Because
Sure, and they'll be, they'll also be working on a negotiation of a comprehensive permit, which is also a long drawn out task that'll be future, and I think that basically weighs heavily on the approval as well,
Yeah, all right.
on that agreement of that.
I'm uncomfortable with this process. I guess that in summary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's just a poor process, at the state level.
Yeah. Mr. Gagne, any other comments?
I don't.
Okay. Tim, next item.
The Sherbrooke Farms 40B, just an update on that. The stormwater review is currently underway, and we are planning a site visit and site walk with the peer review consultant of that project site with them this Friday. So we'll go out there, meet with the consultant, and walk the site and discuss any issues that we see based on the submitted design. We're not working on the review yet for sewer and water, but our peer review consultant will be working on that shortly.
Tim, do I recall that there are questions regarding waste disposal on that site?
Yes. Yep. And the developer is handling that with their own consultant and reporting to the town on it.
So what kind of a challenge, this is a rhetorical question, so you don't necessarily have to answer. What kind of a challenge does it pose to an evaluation of stormwater controls on the site when there's no final cleanup or final cleanup plans of questionable waste disposal on the site? Okay, that's a rhetorical question.
Well, I'd say it does definitely pose a challenge. And in the past, the town has required that the consultant pay for an LSP that the town would hire to oversee that. And I believe this is not happening on this site, so it does pose a concern. So,
Okay. Mr. Gagne, any questions?
I don't, but you raise a good point. Once the development is built, if it is going to be permitted, you have the question of, unknown site conditions from previous, activities and impact upon people that, acquire those properties or live on those properties. A very good point.
I mean, and typically there'd be subsurface evaluations, drilling, to determine what's been disposed of, and also what kind of residual contamination there might be, both in the soils and in groundwater. And I note this isn't that far from one of our well fields.
right. Correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh,
Tim, next item.
Just an update. We had an employee injured at an accident at the Capel Hill site. He is in stable condition, has gone through multiple surgeries, and we're hoping for the best for him in his recovery. He has a long road ahead, so keep him in your thoughts.
All right. What kinds of demonstrations of support do you think are important or appropriate to he or his family?
So we've expressed our support, especially through Derek and Paul over the highway department. Has been in complete contact with his family. I know our HR and town administrator and HR director was at the highway department as well, speaking to the current employees, offering them support as well. And we'll be in touch with his family. We're offering, we're taking a donation as well. And we have, we have a card going around if the board members would wishing to sign it.
Yeah. Yeah, just let us know, please, how we would sign the card, and also if you could provide information about donations for their family.
Yeah. Yes, we'll do.
All right.
Mr.
Mike,
Chairman,
any questions?
Mr. Chairman, Derek Martin. Right now, just so you know, what we've been doing is one of our drivers has kind of been going around here with the and then they leave the card with me. So the card is at the office. So feel free, if you guys have any, some free time, you could stop by, and we have the card here at the highway office right now.
All right.
Good.
Derek and Rob, just so you know, we have a card too here at the office. So.
Okay, great.
All right. All right. If there are no questions, Tim, any other items?
Just some update on staffing. So, we're currently in the process of hiring an administrative clerk. We had extended an offer, and they have accepted. So they're looking to start on December 1st.
Good.
Which is great news. It's been an important position, and it's been tough working without that being filled. We're also in the process of hiring another associate engineer. Offer has been accepted, and they're working on a scheduled start date.
Great.
So our next thought is moving on the billing clerk. We're holding off a little bit to get the admin clerk acclimated before we add another new personnel. But I think if we're looking at moving forward with quarterly billing, I think that billing clerk is crucial to that being successful. So I'll be working with HR to get that re-advertised, and we had done some interviews on that position in the past, but we had somebody take the position and then get an offer for a better paying position while she was here on her first day, and she left. So we'll work on refilling that position. We also, Friday is our assistant superintendent of water, also acting superintendent, Tony. No, it's just his last day is this Friday. He's moving on, and we wish him well. And we've been interviewing candidates for his replacement as well.
Okay, anything else, Tim?
That's about it for now.
Mike, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Gagne moves to adjourn the meeting. Chair seconds. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.